How do you feel about other forces or other, the government or people speak about reptilians or darker forces that might be want to get involved in this or find their way in or try to
Of course, they
disrupt
do everything
or
they can. That's their job. Okay, I don't care about those guys. Uh, they never win, and they're not going to win now. In fact, they've already lost. If you really know the what is going on deeply in the underpinnings of the earth and what's happened and all the levels of it, it's over. It's we have won this game. We are all going to ascend. It's going to be perfect, and it's the reptilians and all the in fact the reptilians right now, I'm speaking with different levels of them right now, very, very high levels, some of the highest levels they've got, because as Melchizedek, we don't take sides. There's only one spirit moving through all life everywhere. And so our purpose is to make all life be successful. And we just don't judge who is good and who is bad. And the reptilians have a problem. They've been around hundreds of millions of years, and they are still in battle and war, and they've dropped their female side, and they don't know how to make a living Merkaba. And if they don't do something very quickly, they will not exist. They simply will not exist. And I don't want to see that happen either. I would like to.
what is their choice right now? What are they thinking of doing?
Well, up until just a few weeks ago, they really didn't believe any of this was true. They just didn't believe it. And now, because of the way the cycles are forming and what they're seeing and what they're getting from all the rest of creation, they're realizing they made a mistake and they have to do something. The Greys did something, which is underneath the reptiles. They created a race between us and them so that they put their brain into this race and they put our heart into this race so that they could have both male and female and create a Merkaba. And that race actually will survive in the future and go through. The Greys die. They no longer exist after this, and they know that's going to happen. But their memories and their wisdom of what they have is now in this other race. And the human race, our heart, our emotional body, which is really just as powerful as their brain, survives in this race, and they make it through. Bashar is one of those people. If you know who Bashar is,
Yeah.
Daryl is the thing. He is he is coming from 300 years in the future, coming back here to make a few little changes in us so that it's better for all of us as we go through. Primarily, we're too serious. They're trying to lighten us up
Yeah.
so we don't take this so seriously and realize that we are already masters. We're old. We've done this before. This
Yeah.
is nothing new. We did have a bump on our head. We've kind of forgotten a lot of things.
Yeah.
But when it comes right down to it, we're going to remember exactly who we are and what this is about, and it's going to be fine. And so he's coming back here to try to just let us relax and be more childlike and be happy what's about to happen, because this is a huge thing that's about to occur,
Uh-huh.
and it's as positive as you could possibly get.
How are
It,
those communication happening? On which level are they happening with the reptilians? When you're saying I'm talking to them and this and I'm having these conversations, how is that? On which plane are we
well,
talking about? How is the
initially,
communication?
I had no contact with them ever before until recently when I don't actually want to say where I was, but I was in the South Pacific area. And in there, they came in 3 times and tried to kill me. And I mean, seriously, really, really tried to kill me. And it didn't work, which blew their minds. And
Mm.
through that, because I survived those things, they then came back in here. They actually came to Sedona, and they're in physical form. They're male. They're men, but they're not really. They're reptiles in human form. I know this, and they knew a lot of things that had happened during that time that no one would know but me, and they knew exactly what had occurred, and so did I. I mean, we entered into a war I was not fighting them. They were trying to kill me, but in them trying to kill me, it destroyed about 9/10 of their fleet. They did it themselves. They shouldn't have done what they did, and they didn't understand the nature of what they were getting into. This is a funny thing about the reptiles as I'm beginning to understand who they are. Their technology is awesome. They really, really, really understand technology. But on a human, common sense level, they're really dumb. They don't get things on a really simple level, and that's why they keep losing all the time. They have been fighting humankind for about 200,000 years, ever since we've been here, and they have lost every single time. When we get to this weak points where we're at the end of the precession of the equinoxes, every time we get to those points, we are weaker than normal, and that's when they always attack us. This is written down in when Hermes in the Emerald Tablets 2,000 years ago. He talked about this, and so now anyway, they're trying to figure out what to do, how to survive, yeah. And but in their surviving, if they do survive, they can't continue in the way that they are now. They would have to make a deep change within themselves.
What I found super interesting, I was interviewing here in Kauai a few days ago Nassim Aramai. I don't know what your perception is of his work, Nassim.
Nassim Haramein?
Yeah,
yeah,
is a physician, and we were talking about the government or the discoveries that are happening on a dark level, and he was explaining how, because once we're all unified, there is actually you gain such a level of consciousness, and you nearly become automatically a humanitarian when you push the equation that far. There is no other way. So he's like, that technology cannot be used by them because it requires a certain level of consciousness and of unity. And once you get there anyway, you become a humanitarian. So it seems like there is some aspects and some things that can be done at a certain level of consciousness, and that will never happen in the hands of others with darker, lower intentions.
Anybody using technology, including humans, means that you are in a form of polarity consciousness. It's a very low level. I don't care how great you think your technology is, if you're using it, you're still on the bottom of the barrel of consciousness. It isn't until you get past polarity consciousness and you realize the unity of all life that you go forward, and then you don't need technology because you're into the creation process and you can do anything without technology. And so then you begin to understand what's possible on other levels that you can't see when you're in polarity consciousness using technology. You don't even know it's there. And so that's what this is all about here on Earth right now, is we are about to go from polarity consciousness that we've been in for 13,000 years into a simple form. We're actually in a step. We're going to first go fourth dimensional, and where our bodies are mostly energy. Right now they're almost pure mass and very little energy. When we go fourth dimensional, our bodies become pure energy and a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of mass. And so we're still in polarity. There's still male and female bodies that we're in there. Mm-hmm. If you were to look at one right now, that we're in this room right now, you couldn't see them because they're just energy. You can't see them. We can only see mass. We can't see this energy. But so we're going to be there about what it will feel like about 2 years, because this body, you have to take the body that you are in there. That is what Christianity has been talking about, and before that, Egyptians in their embalming and everything else, they're all trying to get this body over to the fourth dimension. You have to do that. And it doesn't matter what shape it's in. You could be in a wheelchair with no arms and legs and just barely able to move, but if you can get there, then you remember the creation process, and you can change your body instantly back into the way that you would like to see it be. But once it is back into the way you'd like to see it be, you're a baby there. An adult body, there's a baby, and it begins to grow, and it gets very tall. The height that was in Avatar is appropriate. Females are 10 to 12 feet high, and males are about 14 to 16 feet high. And we'll spend about 2 years in that, and then we're going to make a leap into a consciousness that is never, ever been done before. And I'm so excited about it, I can hardly stand it. I mean,
I remember our conversation in Sedona. Yeah, we went a little bit more.
I really want to do that.
Tell us about the activities as far as the ETs. Are you still in contact with the plasma beings? What are
Oh
the
yeah.
activities of the ETs right now? How much support is there? How much excitement?
Well, you see, most of the right. We had a bad experience. You know, we had the reptiles and the greys and certain Pleiadians, which are usually good, but there's a certain one. There were 6 races that they joined together, and their intention was to eliminate all life, all human life on this planet, and just take over the planet. They lost. It's not going to happen, but that's them. But hidden behind them, which is fourth dimensionally, we're surrounded by them. There are between 250 and 300,000 cultures that are here on Earth, but fourth dimensionally, and I don't know how many are here on third dimensionally, that are watching, observing, basically praying for us. They want us to succeed. They see us as brothers and sisters. They don't have any negative feelings toward us at all, but they can't do anything because that's one of the laws. I mean, Star Trek got it right. You can't interfere with lower life forms. It's illegal. We have to let them grow on their own in the way that they would on their own, and you can't step in and start changing that evolutionary pattern. It's
Really,
illegal.
even if the agreement was not made, even if what was said did not happen, they cannot intervene.
Well, they're not supposed to, no matter what. Under any circumstances, they're not supposed to, and they're not. They're just sitting there watching. But we are on the edge, and there are already over about 400 people on Earth, and it's rising rapidly, that have learned how to do something where they open up their third eye, and they learn how to go into their heart, and they open up their third eye from their brain, and they do it in such a way that instead of seeing through the brain through the third eye, which is a psychic abilities, etc. They use that same channel and the same eye, which is the pineal gland itself, only they connect it to the tiny space in the heart, the sacred place in there, in such a way that they can see through their third eye from their heart. And this is called the single eye of the heart. It's known all over the world, but very few people know how to do it. But we're starting to remember. And when you do that, while you're in that level of consciousness, you're not human. You're in between human and the next level. You're a little bit higher up in consciousness, which enables this whole spectrum of consciousness. It's not just the plasma beings. It's angels. It's all kinds of other beings. It's the dolphins also and the whales. You could, in that level, when you're in that frequency, you can go up to a whale and communicate with them as well as we are, well, actually better than we are right now.
Yeah.
And so people are beginning to do this, and it's going to spread very rapidly at one point, where we're going to remember how to see in this and communicate on this level way. We don't need words between humans and humans anymore. You can just talk. It doesn't matter where you are. And that is a big, huge step that's taking place. And that is the same procedure that we use to see the plasma beings.
Yeah.
And so that we could actually see them, they can see us, we can communicate and talk and laugh and play and have fun. And
how is that going? Have you talked to them? Have you encountered them again more times since February?
This is about a few days ago was the 5th time that we went down with a group of about 100 people or so.
Oh, okay.
And all of them were with an extremely high level of success, approximately 90%.
Was it the same experience?
Yes. Identical experience in 90% of the group.
But then last time over this group versus the other group, was it the same experience that you had? The same thing happened down there?
This last time was quite unusual. What they wanted to do was because we had attained this in a different kind of way than we had before. I can't explain that. It's another level of inner technology.
Okay.
But because we had done this in a different way, which produces a different kind of Merkaba around you, it's a natural Merkaba that happens naturally. It becomes permanent instantaneously. It looks like it's made out of solid gold. It's beautiful, and it feels like it's amazing. Anyway, uh, because we had um, because we had attained this in a different kind of way, they were doing an experiment with us this time. They wanted us to come in. They moved us down very quickly. It was just like going through light to get down there. They were really fast, and they came in with two people with every person instead of one. And they were about what, and they explained to me what they were going to do. They were going to connect with us in a particular kind of way, in where our energy fields would be able to exchange memory.
Nice.
And what they wanted to do is they wanted for them to give to us. They're 1.5 million years ahead of us, and they wanted to give their experience and knowledge and wisdom to us. And then they wanted to take all of our experience and knowledge and transfer it to them. They were going to do this. And we were just getting in position to do this, and they said, I'm sorry, you have to go back now. And the people, and we did, we went back really fast. They just put it in their ship, and we were back here in seconds. And the people in the group still, a lot of them don't know why that happened. They thought it was, some of them were saying, well, did we do something wrong?
Right.
But it wasn't that. There were three people that were going into heat exhaustion. And if we'd have continued on, we'd have had at least two of them probably in the hospital. And so they knew what was going on the surface, and they just said, you've got to go now. And so this is still going to happen, I believe, but it's probably going to happen on the next time we go down. And
How about UFOs activities, or how they're supporting the shift here, the awakening?
well, they're basically the UFOs are doing what they can without influencing our evolution. They're doing a lot of things. Recently, if you remember, about a year ago, they had these spheres of light that were going through all the atomic energy stockpiles and everything and dismantling them. Do you remember this?
I remember, for me, the latest one is over Japan. I've heard throughout what was happening, they were helping to
They're coming in
rebalance.
lots of light about this big, and inside there is a little being. They're not really that size. They're actually big when they're where they are. But if a human being goes into the same consciousness and moves in that same way, which we know how to do, you shrink down to about 12 inches in diameter, and it's kind of a soft white light, and you can move anywhere it's kind of like seeing. If you see a star and you want to be there, you're there instantly, and that's the way you travel. And these beings, and I'm not sure who they are. They went through Russia, the United States, all the various places that have atomic weapons, and I don't think we have any right now. It'd be interesting to see what happens here, but basically, I think we've just been disarmed, and but I don't know that for certain, but I believe it's true, and we'll find out. We'll see if there's ever another bomb ever goes off. It would not be a good idea if we did, because we're down to just a few bombs left before, according to the United Nations and the scientific data of things, we only are 6 bombs away from destroying the planet. That's all it would require. 6 more explosions underground, and we don't exist anymore. And if you knew the science about this and what's scientifically been put out to the world and everything else like that, it's scary.
Yeah.
There's been over 2,000 atomic bombs exploded inside the Earth. And when they're exploded, they go in and they rip the insides of the Earth apart, basically. And we're fragile at this point. So the world now is like when they thought North Korea had exploded a bomb, just even one, they were just like going crazy because of the danger of what that meant. So, but we don't have to worry about anything, really.
Right. Even with the data that you have, and even with what you know will happen.
There are so many scenarios going on right now that are crazy.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah. Does it
going on.
really change depending on how we all react, and constantly it's being rechanged, and uh
Well, we don't really understand the nature of the reality.
right.
We think it's